Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, January 21st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. Warmer, definitely warmer than it was yesterday. High 34. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 33. And then Thursday, mostly cloudy, high 46. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it is 8 and clear up in White Plains in Westchester, 7 and clear in Cranford over in New Jersey, and it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Air Force One had to turn around last night. Is there really a monster storm about to hit us? A new report reveals the rent is really too damn high in New York. Cops uncover another animal house of horrors on Long Island. And the fat lady is singing for cash at the Metropolitan Opera. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. President Trump's plane, Air Force One, had to return to Joint Base Andrews about an hour after departing for Switzerland last night. The decision to return was made after takeoff when the crew aboard Air Force One identified some sort of minor electrical issue, and they say out of an abundance of caution decided to turn the plane around. They were about a half hour into the flight. The president, passengers, including reporters, they were put onto two smaller planes and then headed out for the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, where the president will hold critical talks over Greenland's future with a lot of angered European leaders. And this all took place after President Trump had taken a victory lap last night, exactly 1 year since the start of his second term. He celebrated accomplishments with what was about a 2-hour-long back and forth with the press, where he talked about successes with the economy. He also talked about what has been taking place in Minneapolis in more detail than he has before. The shooting there and ICE agents in Minneapolis. Here was the president last night.
They're going to make mistakes sometimes. ICE is going to be too rough with somebody, or, they're dealing with rough people. They're going to make a mistake sometimes. It can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say it. ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump. He loved Trump.
And back here in New York, there were demonstrations. They took place exactly 2 o'clock yesterday. People were told to walk out of their office in defiance of the president's first year in office to show their disapproval, took to the streets, a number of parks across the city. Hard to tell how many people took part in this, but they were loud, and then some of them marched down Fifth Avenue.
To be honest, we showed up with IDs today because we didn't know what kind, if there was going to be trouble here.
We're as concerned with Trump and his administration as we are with the Democrats who haven't had a response. What is the response? How is this going to stop?
So there was about a dozen or so of these protests across the city, Prospect Park, Central Park, Bryant Park. Organizers say there were about 600 of these protests nationwide.
Greenland is for Greenlanders. It is an imperialist thing to talk about taking over Greenland. They don't want to be part of the United States. He did the same thing with Canada, and he did the same thing with Mexico.
And what they're doing in Minneapolis is just the beginning, and it's the testing ground, and they're just seeing how far they can get.
All right, so now we're a year and a day into the second Trump administration. The president in Switzerland for the World Economic Summit in Davos will be making a speech there, and of course meeting with with European leaders and leaders from around the world along the sidelines of that meeting. 5:04. Let's bring it back home. New Jersey officially has a new governor. Democrat Mikey Sherrill sworn into office in Newark yesterday in front of her family. New Jersey lawmakers and now former Governor Phil Murphy.
And maintain the lawful rights of the state of New Jersey.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Governor.
And just like that, she was governor. Sherrill then gave a speech where she said the Garden State is facing an affordability crisis.
Too many people are working too hard and still falling behind. They worry about rent or mortgage payments that rise faster than paychecks. They worry about the cost of childcare.
And then she signed an executive order to freeze utility rates following a huge spike over the last year. She vowed to spend a lot of her time making New Jersey more affordable, saying too many people are falling behind.
We see a president illegally usurping power, unconstitutionally enacting a tariff regime to make billions for himself and his family while everyone else sees their costs go higher. We're going to fight for jobs. We're going to fight for housing families can afford, for good schools, safe streets, and ending skyrocketing utility costs.
And then last night, or yesterday, she held her inaugural party at American Dream in East Rutherford. In New York, it was Governor Kathy Hochul who was giving her new budget address, and she claims there's going to be no new taxes.
Governor Hochul is proposing a record $260 billion state budget for the fiscal year 2027.
Once again, there are no income taxes on New Yorkers, and this budget maintains reserves at $14.6 billion.
The governor said a 3-year extension of the 7.25% corporate tax rate on companies earning more than $5 million a year will help pay for programs like universal child care and investments in infrastructure and affordable housing. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Okay, we're watching what could be a major winter storm expected to bring ice and snow to a massive stretch of the nation later this week.
In the meantime, frigid Arctic air will continue to freeze parts of the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. Forecasters say that air comes ahead of a storm that's going to hit much of the Southeast and East Friday through Sunday. The National Weather Service says to expect snow, sleet, and freezing rain from the southern Rockies and Mid-South before heading east. Dangerous travel conditions and power outages could cause problems. I'm Mark Mayfield.
All right, so you're saying, is this going to be the real thing, or is this going to be another bust? We just don't know yet. It's too early in the week. So these two different weather tracks, the American model versus the European model. The European model apparently way more bullish on snow happening Sunday, with a foot or more hitting the tri-state. And then the American model, that remains a whole lot more modest, saying this could be maybe 3 to 5 inches. Now, the thought is the storm for sure is going to hit the southern part of New Jersey and southern part of the country, maybe harder than it will us. But the European model says it may hit us as hard as it hits everybody else. And we just have to watch this thing. It's only Wednesday, and this thing's going to move in on Sunday. Of course, we'll have more details come Thursday and Friday about how much snow we're actually going to get. WABC News Time 509. An NYPD cop under arrest, charged with planting evidence in a gun case and more.
Officer Miguel Van Brackle was arrested Tuesday and charged with perjury, tampering with evidence, official misconduct, and more. Queens DA Melinda Katz says it happened as Van Brackle was executing a search warrant looking for a gun in a Cambria Heights home in October 2023. She says body cam footage shows the 48-year-old officer moved a state benefit card into a gun safe to link the gun inside to a suspect who was later charged, even though the man's girlfriend insisted the gun was hers. Those charges were later dropped. Van Brackle could face 7 years in prison if convicted. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 510. The Justice Department has served grand jury subpoenas to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The subpoenas centered on an investigation into allegedly obstructing federal officers amid anti-ICE protests in Minnesota.
Generally speaking, when you have subpoenas out, it's not rocket science. Investigations are done by acquiring records. Investigations are then furthered by putting witnesses in in the grand jury and making a presentment for a case, which our partners at the Department of Justice and the Attorney General will do in any case.
FBI Director Kash Patel there speaking on Fox News last night about what's going on. He says Walz and Fry have been critical of federal immigration officials following the deadly shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis earlier this month.
And this FBI is committed to working with our interagency and our Department of Justice partners under President Trump's mandate to make sure Minnesota and every other city across this country is safe. And that's why we're having the record year that we're having under President Trump's brilliant leadership.
And that was what the president was talking about during that meeting last night with reporters, where he was celebrating his first year of his second administration, talking about the fact that he says ICE continues to round up dangerous criminals in Minnesota, even as those protests continue.
You know, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible.
And the president says he still may invoke the Insurrection Act as a result of the unrest in Minneapolis.
The agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota.
And then you had the Border Patrol chief, Greg Bavino, touting the arrests made amid the immigration crackdown in Minnesota.
We've arrested some of the most dangerous criminal offenders operating in Minnesota. In the entire state of Minnesota, we have arrested some of the most violent criminal offenders right here in this city. These are not minor violators or minor garden variety criminals. These are repeat offenders with serious criminal histories.
No, but there is pushback to all this. You had Mayor Zoran Mamdani. He went on ABC's The View yesterday, says he wants to abolish ICE.
Mayor Mamdani reflected on his first month in office and was asked if he agrees with his fellow Democrats about immigration and customs enforcement.
I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because we're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law.
Some kind of immigration law, seemingly referring to federal law that denotes official citizens as opposed to illegal immigrants. All while the Trump White House continues a crackdown against illegal immigration in so-called sanctuary cities. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
And a federal judge refusing to temporarily block a newly reinstated Department of Homeland Security policy that would limit lawmakers' access to ICE detention centers.
Colorado Congressman Joe Neguse and other Democrats sued the Trump administration last week, seeking to bar enforcement of a policy requiring them to give 7 days' notice before any visit. The lawmakers challenged the policy by arguing that it violated a court order striking down a similar rule last month. While there was no ruling on the merits of the case itself, the judge said the plaintiffs used the wrong procedural vehicle to challenge it and concluded the previous order did not apply. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
5:14. We told you earlier, President Trump's plane Air Force One had to turn around about a half hour into its flight to Switzerland last night. Small, minor electrical problem. He's there now, though, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Going to address the people who show up there. A lot of it's going to be this talk about Greenland and the U.S. trying to take over there. Here was the president talking about that last night.
I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody.
Now, the president says the U.S. needs Greenland for national security and something must be done before Russia or China potentially moves in.
We will work something out where NATO's going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important.
Now, Greenland is a self-governing Danish territory that sits between the U.S. and Europe. And the president, he was making comments on Iran last night as well, making some warnings to them, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start here with the Giants, introducing John Harbaugh yesterday as the 21st head coach in the team's storied history. He spent 18 seasons with Baltimore, of course, signed a 5-year deal with the Giants that multiple league sources have revealed is in the vicinity of $100 million. He will report directly to ownership rather than the general manager Joe Schoen. The Giants have traditionally had their coach report to the general manager, who would then report to ownership. Not this time around, though. Harbaugh and Shane will work collaboratively and cooperatively, but it's Harbaugh who's expected to have the stronger voice given his track record of success. That's the way you want it, right, Nolan?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a lot of Giants fans have a ton of faith in general manager Joe
Maybe
Shane.
too much, or not too much, rather.
Right, not too much.
The opposite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the new boss, the boss man in blue, John
So he
Harbaugh.
gets to make all the decisions.
I mean, listen, Joe Shane spoke about it yesterday with the media, and he said he's not really worried about it. It's just words on a piece of paper.
Yeah, well,
yada,
of
yada,
course he's
yada.
going to say that.
Of course. And he says, listen, we're part of the same organization. We're going to have to work together. It's not like we're going to be on opposite sides of the building. But that has happened before, where there has been sort of an alienation between the front office and the coaching staff. We saw it in Philadelphia years ago with Chip Kelly and Howie Roseman. And so, we'll see how this shakes out. But if I'm a Giants fan, I'm happy to hear that Harbaugh's going to have this much pull.
Of course.
Yep. Head to the Diamond. News out of the MLB here. And the Mets acquiring center fielder Luis Robert in a trade with the Chicago White Sox late yesterday, adding a strong defensive presence with a high upside offensive game as they reshape their roster after that disappointing 2025 season. And the deal, which sent infielder Luis Angel Acuna and right-hander Truman Pauly to Chicago, capped a day in which the Mets also made official their 3-year, $126 million contract with free agent infielder Bo Bichette. Some new Mets coming to town. Also out of the baseball world, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones were selected for induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday. Beltran was elected in his fourth year of eligibility after being named on 84.2% of the Baseball Writers Association of America ballots, easily clearing the 75% threshold for enshrinement. Jones was named on 78.4% of the ballots, just clearing the bar to earn election in his ninth and second to last year of eligibility. Beltran and Jones joined Jeff Kent, who was elected in December in the Contemporary Era Committee, voting in the class of 2026. Quickly on the ice, Rangers tacked another one onto the loss column. They lost 4-3 to the Kings out in Edmonton. Gritsuk and Glass each had a goal and an assist, and the Devils held on to beat the Oilers 2-1. And tonight the Islanders will turn to action in Seattle against the Kraken. That's a 9:30 puck drop there. And on the hardwood, the Nets and the Knicks, they go head-to-head at 7:30 at Madison Square Garden. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. President Trump warning Iranian officials not to make any more assassination threats against him. In an interview with News Nation, the president said if something happens to him, the whole country of Iran is going to get blown up.
I have very firm instructions. Anything happens, they're going to wipe them off the face of this earth.
Now, these comments on News Nation come days after he threatened Iran with a regime change over the country's crackdown on those anti-government protesters.
Well, they shouldn't be doing it, but I've left notification. Anything ever happens, we're going to blow the whole country is going to get blown up.
All right. The Mexican government sending dozens of people with alleged drug cartel ties back to the U.S.
That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which reports 37 people have been transferred to U.S. authorities. Mexico's security minister says the prisoners were flown to several U.S. cities, including Washington, D.C., New York, and Houston. The transfer bypassed the extradition process, allowing the suspects to be quickly transferred to American authorities. So far, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum's administration has sent over 90 alleged gang members to the U.S. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
The Supreme Court, they're going to hear arguments today in the Federal Reserve firing case.
The justices must decide if President Trump can sack Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. In the case Trump versus Cook, the court will review a ruling from a lower court that reinstated Cook after President Trump fired her. She's been on the board since 2013. Trump accused Cook of mortgage fraud, an allegation she strongly denies. The Federal Reserve Act says presidents can only fire board members for cause. The case is attracting a lot of interest, with early lines forming outside the court to get in. In a highly unusual move, it's expected the hearing will be attended by Fed Chair Jerome Powell. John Terrett, WABC News.
AI, artificial intelligence, is going to be front and center at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Alina Timofeya is a senior advisor in tech and AI, and she says she wants to explain to world leaders and anybody who's listening that AI can assist a wide swath of the population around the world.
There is an opportunity with AI to be an equalizer because you don't really have to code anymore, that much.
She says there's an opportunity for women of the world to use AI.
Because you would see the vast developed countries being dependent on Amazon and Google and some of the other bigger providers. So something which you need to be mindful of is only 15% of the whole population have actually had access to AI.
And she says, of course, she's going to ask these world leaders to make that so more people have access to AI. 522, officials say the man accused of killing his ex-wife and her dentist husband has been extradited. Now back to Ohio.
Michael McKee had been in Illinois after his arrest on January 10th. He's been indicted on 4 counts of aggravated murder and 1 count of aggravated burglary in the shooting deaths of Spencer and Monique Tepe. McKee was booked into a Columbus jail, and his public defender indicated that his client plans to plead not guilty. There's no word on when he'll make his next court appearance. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 522. Down in Texas, prosecutors resting their case against a former police officer accused of botching the response to the Uvalde school shooting. Defense attorneys for Adrian Gonzalez put on their own witness, law enforcement trainer Willie Cantu, who testified that he acted immediately when he arrived at Robb Elementary that day.
He goes directly to what he thinks is the threat, because he doesn't hear that there's any more people involved.
Now, prosecutors have been trying to prove that while Gonzalez arrived early, he failed to confront the gunman despite hearing 117 shots. A total of 19 students, 2 teachers were killed that day. Law enforcement trainer Willie Cantel telling the jury that Gonzalez immediately ran towards the school, which contradicts what prosecutors have said.
They go towards the south entrance of the school.
And do they enter the school?
They enter the school.
And after the bullet comes out of the window, do we see Adrian take action?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll hear more in this case a little bit later today. 522, the conservative Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is going to decide whether states can force teachers to hang a poster with the 10 Commandments in their classrooms. Gene Mills, he heads the Louisiana Family Forum, who's in favor of that.
Louisiana will be enriched by restoring the 10 Commandments to its place of honor within the public education system.
Louisiana, along with Texas, being forced to defend their newly passed laws.
The bill was written in a manner consistent with the Constitution and current case law. This generation is hungry for clarity that can only be found in our authentic foundational principles.
Opponents, though, claim they violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, so they're going to push that this doesn't happen. 524, contempt of Congress charges against the Clintons could go to a vote before the end of the day.
That's according to Republican Congressman James Comer, who heads the GOP-led House committee looking into the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton didn't show up for their scheduled depositions last week, accusing Republicans of selective prosecution. The Clintons and several other officials were subpoenaed in a bipartisan vote last summer. I'm Mark Mayfield.
WABC News Time 525. A new report shows the average net worth for Americans by age group.
The report from financial services firm Empower says the average 50-year-old is worth more than $1.4 million. If the average number seems inflated, that's because it is. Empower says the average number is brought up by the super wealthy, while the median net worth for a 50-year-old is closer to $190,000. They say the 3 keys to getting rich are stocks, real estate, and inheritance over time. I'm Michael Kastner.
We are learning more about an Indiana judge and his wife who are recovering after someone shot at them in their home Sunday afternoon. Correspondent Sam Brock says Superior Court Judge Stephen Meyer was first elected back in 2014.
He recently announced his upcoming retirement from the bench. Now the Chief Justice of the state sounding the alarm, saying in a statement, quote, "I worry about the safety of all of our judges. Any violence against a judge or a judge's family is completely unacceptable."
Now, what we're told is Meyer and his wife went to answer the door at their Lafayette home. Someone had knocked, claimed to have the couple's dog, and then opened fire.
Multiple judges have been killed at their homes in recent years amid an uptick in political violence targeting public figures, including the shooting of Charlie Kirk, the firebombing of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home, and the assassination of Minnesota State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband. State Court Judge Stephen Meyer and his wife Kimberly are both now recovering in stable condition. Police found shotgun casings at the couple's home in Lafayette, Indiana, and a 911 dispatch describing the terrifying events on Sunday.
So far, that shooter's still on the loose. The FBI, though, has joined the investigation. A new study shows staying single may not be as good for your health compared to being in a committed romantic relationship.
And when the cupboard's bare, I'll still find something there with my love.
A research team at the University of Zurich looked at 17,000 teens and young adults in Germany and the United Kingdom. Their study shows those who remain single for a long period of time experience an increasing feeling of loneliness and greater decline in life satisfaction. Lead researcher Michael Karmer says findings show remaining single for a prolonged period in young adulthood is associated with moderate risks to well-being. I'm Michael Kastner.
Oh, interesting. All right. In a moment, we'll tell you the latest on Timothy Busfield. He's going to be released from prison. We'll get the latest. 527, though. Traffic, transit on the 7s. Here's Joe Nolan.
I'd be in bad shape if it wasn't for my wife, that's for sure.
Good thing to say, by the way, in case she's listening.
Well, no, she gets me out to the doctor. She yells at me when I'm not eating the right thing. That's absolutely no question about that.
You're funny you should say that because now I'm on a statin now because I'm an old guy,
Yeah.
And
welcome to the club.
Yeah. And I guess I'm on a statin for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
it's not going to get any better. Which is not a bad thing because it does what it's supposed to do. But if I forget to take it, she's all over me.
All over you.
And by the way, I would forget every single day to take it if it wasn't for her.
Exactly.
So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, January 21st. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high 34. Tonight and overnight, cloudy, low 33, and then Thursday mostly cloudy, high 46. If you're walking out the door with us right now, and so happy you are, it's pretty cold out there. 8 and clear in White Plains up in Westchester County. It's 7 and clear in Cranford over in New Jersey, and it's 11 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. The Metropolitan Opera House is going to start laying off staff, cutting salaries in its program, even considering some selling of historic pieces of art to make ends meet. That all in the New York Times report that came out yesterday. Sometimes it costs about $800 a ticket, something like that. I'm just looking at the ticket sales here. $800 a ticket to see the Met, so it's not cheap. Of course, there are these large-scale productions that go on for hours. If you've never gone, it's well worth a one-time experience, and maybe you'll love it and want to go back again. Here's somebody who was there, seeing the latest Metropolitan Opera, hearing the news that they're going to be cutting staff.
Live performances in New York are very expensive, but at the same time, it doesn't take a patron of the arts to understand how incredible the talent is.
The New York Times says 22 members of the administration staff going to be let go. There will be salary cuts for executives, and the glamorous 3,800-seat theater will now be rented out to other artists, like pop artists, when there's no opera that night. But what the New York Times says is the most dramatic point is that the Met is considering selling its name for the right price. So it wouldn't just be called the Metropolitan Opera. It might be called the Hertz rental car Metropolitan Opera. I doubt it'll be Hertz, but you know what I mean. They do sell subsidized tickets to like college students, so you can get in for as cheap as $40 or $50. And people hearing about the fact that there's layoffs here in the city are saying, maybe we should support the Metropolitan Opera before it goes away.
Get on social media where the young people are, then we'll have more visitors at the Met.
I wouldn't have otherwise come here if it wasn't like a $40 ticket, and I've never been here before, so I think if it's something I really like, then hopefully I'll come back.
Now, I remember as a kid, my parents took me to the Metropolitan Opera, and I was bored out of my mind. And then I went back as an adult, and I thought it was great. But I will say I never went back after that. Now, the Met had entered a $200 million cultural deal with Saudi Arabia. That was going to be some sort of lifeline to help them. For whatever reason, that has fallen apart. So the bills have been piling up at the Met. And so now they have to make these moves just to survive. And some of that's going to be laying off that staff. And they've apparently already begun to do that. 5:43. Wow. There was this brazen home invasion caught on security video in Queens. It showed this crew break into a house looking to steal luxury cars. Now, one of the cars out in the driveway was a Bentley. The homeowner, his name is Moshe. He says home invasions are happening more often in his Jamaica Estates neighborhood. And he tells Eyewitness News that the burglar barged in through a window in the middle of the night using a flashlight on their phone to rummage around the kitchen, apparently looking for the keys. Here's how Moshe describes it.
Both of my cars are in the driveway. My lights turned on once they approached the front gate, and so they knew somebody was home, but they didn't seem to care.
So what Moshe did is he screamed out to them, "I've got a gun, I've got a gun." He did have a gun. Here's what happened next.
They popped this open, and that's when I realized that somebody was breaking in, because she knows I'm yelling from over there. I'm like, I have a gun, don't move. By whatever divine intervention, the gun doesn't shoot.
Yeah, so the gun did not fire. The burglars ran for their lives. They did not get the Bentley. There looked to be other expensive cars in the driveway as well. Police looking for that 3 suspects that are involved in this case. They have not found them. Over in Long Island, 2 teenage boys injured in a shooting in Brentwood on Monday night as they sat in their car. Police have so far been unable to find the gunman who shot them. It sounds like it's a gang-related thing. A 15-year-old boy was struck in the hand. A 17-year-old was hit in the leg. This neighbor says his wife, kids heard the gunfire on Monday night.
They were actually in the living room, so she heard it, like right when it happened. And my 7-year-old, oh, it's fireworks. And then from what she described, she looked at my older 2 and was like, that definitely was not fireworks.
Now, what eyewitnesses described it as was 2 cars. One car parked and then another car pulling up and firing away. They left a gun behind, so detectives say eventually they'll catch up with who's ever behind this. The 2 kids that were in the car, they're going to be okay.
When we see this type of violence, and in this case we are investigating this as a gang-motivated shooting, it's even more troubling because it's senseless and, we hate to see it.
Yeah, okay. Well, Suffolk County Police Department saying if you have any information on this shooting to give Crime Stoppers a ring. 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Allen.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Start with the big news yesterday for the New York Football Giants, introducing John Harbaugh as the 21st head coach in the team's storied history. He spent 18 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens, the one that won the Super Bowl, of course. Signed a 5-year deal with the Giants that multiple league sources have revealed is in the vicinity of $100 million. He will report directly to ownership rather than general manager Joe Schoen. The Giants have traditionally had their coach report to the GM, who would then report to ownership. Not this time around. Harbaugh and Schoen will work collaboratively, of course, and cooperatively. But it's Harbaugh who is expected to have the stronger voice in the building, given his track record of success. New guy coming to town. Head to some offseason news and the Mets in the MLB, acquiring center fielder Luis Robert Jr. at a trade with the Chicago White Sox late yesterday, adding a strong defensive presence with a high upside offensive game as they reshaped their roster after that disappointing 2025 season. The deal, which sent infielder Luis Angel Acuna and right-hander Truman Pauly to Chicago, capped a day in which the Mets made official their 3-year, $126 million contract with free agent infielder Bo Bichette. Also out of the baseball world, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones were selected for induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday. Beltran was elected in his 4th year of eligibility after being named on 84.2% of ballots, easily clearing the 75% threshold for enshrinement. Jones was named on 78.4% of the ballots, just clearing the bar to earn election in his 9th and 2nd to last year of eligibility. Beltran and Jones joined Jeff Kent, who was elected in December in the contemporary era committee voting in the class of 2026. Head to the ice in Los Angeles. The Rangers tacked another one into the loss column, this time in the form of a 4-3 loss to the Kings. Up next from the play at San Jose come Friday. In Edmonton, Arseny Griciuk and Cody Glass each had a goal and an assist, and the Devils held on to beat the Oilers 2-1. Up next for them, they'll play at Vancouver come Friday night. Islanders back at it tonight out in Seattle against the Kraken. That's a 9:30 p.m. puck drop there. And the Nets and Knicks, they'll go head-to-head tonight at Madison Square Garden, 7:30 p.m. tip-off in that one. That's your Sports Now. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 549. New Jersey has a new governor for the first time in 8 years. Mikey Sherrill took the oath of office yesterday in Newark, promising to make things more affordable in New Jersey. And having lived in New Jersey for a good portion of my adult life, I've heard this before. They're going to bring down property taxes. Things are going to be cheaper. So we asked you what you think's going to happen in New Jersey.
It's going to be a great change. Good things. I love Murphy. He was fine. So I'm looking forward to more good things, even better for New Jersey.
I mean, they all talk a good one. Just got to see. Wait and see. Hope for the best.
Cheryl campaigned on lowering utility bills, even vowing it would be the first thing she tackles in office. She says she'll make housing more affordable. It's hard for me to imagine how any of that's done, but, keep your fingers crossed.
I'm just hopeful, really, as a 60-year-old person for some sanity, someone who's stable, which I think she is, cares about New Jersey. I don't really have any hopes for dramatic change. Things don't work that way.
I mean, we'll see what it comes out from her. I mean, we'll just see and, deal with it as it comes.
Yeah, well, and a lot of these people said, it's really expensive to live in New Jersey. And so if she can do something to make that cheaper to live in New Jersey, they'd be all for it.
My kids all live in New Jersey. I might move to Pennsylvania just to ease my tax burden and things like that. But, that's not a problem to me.
I guess the main thing is try to get those taxes down and the utilities. I thought about moving overseas to a tropical island, but no, I'm going to be right here in New Jersey. When the weather is cold, it's cold. When it's hot. But yeah, I'll be in New Jersey.
Yeah, and in the final hours of his term, Governor Murphy, he signed a law that might irk some people who order food deliveries or takeout in New Jersey.
When the new law goes into effect next year, folks will have to either ask for plastic forks, spoons, knives, salt and pepper, and ketchup, or already have it if needed, because the new law bans restaurants, food trucks, hospitals, schools, and arenas from including single-use plastic utensils or even chopsticks, unless a customer asks. So if at a Devils game next year and craving one of those Asian barbecue bowls or a full platter from Mighty Quinn's Barbecue, remember to ask for utensils, bring your own, or ask for a bunch of napkins to wipe those sticky fingers. I'm Levon Putney.
Let's bring it back into the city. 552, an NYPD sergeant once celebrated for stopping an attacker with a knife, now under arrest, accused of groping a woman he met on a domestic call.
Sergeant Tala Ahmad was arrested Friday, charged with sexual abuse, forced touching, and more. He was among the officers who responded to a woman's call in Canarsie December 30th who was having trouble with her son. Reports say the 28-year-old cop surprised the woman by returning alone later, saying he was there to investigate. She says he groped her and made her uncomfortable. Ahmad fired on a man in Crown Heights 5 years ago who lunged at cops responding to a domestic call. No one was hurt. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
WABC News Time 552. Nurses were back out on the picket line yesterday. New York's largest nurses strike in its 10th day as nurses stick to their demands. Mayor Mamdani, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, they joined the nurses on the picket line yesterday.
The nurses are the people who keep us alive and who nurture us. The nurses are there when we are born. They are there when we are sick. They are by our bedside when we die.
And the senator says...
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm really going to miss that guy,
Bernie Sanders?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, where's he going? Why would you miss him?
Well, he's going to die soon.
You think so?
Oh, my God, of course. I'm really going to miss him.
But he's always looked like he's going to die.
Yeah, but eventually when you look like you're going to die, you know what happens?
It happens.
You actually die.
Yeah. Well, at some point you do.
Yeah, I'm going to miss him. You?
Yeah, well, sure.
Sure.
Why wouldn't I miss Bernie Sanders?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Bernie Sanders on my show today.
Oh, well, I can't wait.
One of my earliest memories, as we get set to celebrate 10 years of Sid... Ridiculous. One of my earliest memories, my first event. I believe my very first event when I came back to New York in 2016 involved Bernie Sanders.
Really? Well, I can't wait to hear what that is.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of know what it is.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
And I hated him then, and I still hate him. And I was only kidding. I'm not going to miss him. No. I don't want anything bad to happen to Bernie Sanders, of course. He should live till he's 150. But if and when that tragic day comes and he's gone, I'll be just fine.
You won't be happy. You'll just be fine.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have to ask Lou about that.
Okay.
Lou has celebrated people's deaths before, so.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Happy days are here again.
That's not how I celebrate them.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
You're going to hear about one of them early this morning. Not that Lou celebrated, but Bernard certainly did.
Oh, I think I know who that is, too.
I spoke to Carol yesterday, his wife. And it looks like they're going to be here on Tuesday, so I'm very happy about that.
That's great.
Well, of course. Anyway, what the hell are you talking about anyway, Bernie?
I think I was doing the news hour, but you want me to continue?
You know, your news hour is great.
Except what?
There's no exceptions.
Oh, okay.
There's no buts. It's a great, great show.
Well, thank you.
I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of stuff that I do on my morning show that I take directly from you.
Yeah, well, I hear that from people all over New York City.
No, you don't.
News. I do.
No one's ever said that.
I can't even tell you how many times I get emails from people who said they steal stories from me.
Well, that's probably true because if I don't listen to you in the morning, I don't feel prepared.
Yeah.
No. Although you did not cover Carlos Beltran getting into the Hall of Fame.
No, we did. Justin did that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I apologize.
I thought you were listening.
Well, I haven't heard the whole show. I mean, I do prepare. I do some preparation for our show.
Right.
Yeah.
But you take a lot of notes as well.
A lot of notes.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I'm being serious.
I believe it.
You're exceptional at this show.
There was, I won't name him, but there was a big executive at Fox News who used to write me all the time. He'd say, watch Fox and Friends this morning and you'll see all the stuff I stole from your show.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Carly Shimkus and Todd Pyro.
It wasn't them, but.
Oh, it wasn't them? Okay. No, you're great at it, man. You're great.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm almost done now. I mean, I had so much more to get to that they won't be able to steal, but I guess I can.
You had a lot to get to?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Like what?
Well, I had a story about real estate prices in the city.
I got Suzanne Miller on. Fine. What else?
There was another cat house on Long Island, where people were collecting all kinds of cats.
Curtis?
It was not Curtis, no.
Yeah.
In the Hudson Valley, this kid drove his car into the drink. That was a pretty good story.
Yeah, nothing. Cats, some doofus kid driving his car into a stink hole.
Yeah.
And real estate prices going up.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're good. The show was great.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at 5:57. It's time for traffic and transit on the 7s.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.